of a problem with the last video, and I wasn't going to remake the whole thing. So I just wanted to let you know here that you can actually tell the gender of an individual if you find their bones. You might be wondering some of this, right? We talked a little bit about gender earlier, ethnicity earlier, but you can tell it by that pubic arch that is there. The wider it is, so if you take this and you can put like a couple fingers here, which I can do here, it's a female. If you can only get one finger to touch the joint, then it's a male. And you can also see that in the back on how wide this is. If this is really, really wide here, it's a female. The closer it is, like normally you can only see a small amount of it, it would be a male. So that's another way that you can differentiate the difference between the two. Let me see. Sorry about this. One of the last things I was going to talk about is the arbiter foramen, which is this big hole that is basically on the bottom here. And you can see here, I've already talked about it, but the sacroiliac joint is right here. So let's go on to our last page. And this is the appendicular skeleton. So we are going to start with looking at shoulder stuff. And I think you're going to like this. This is pretty cool section. Like, where did she go? Just running to get my bones really quick. Not the most beautiful video, but it will do, right? So let's start first with the humerus. We're going to start here because we've been talking about the humerus with the shoulder articulation, right? We just got done. We talked about the clavicle. We talked about the scapula. And so now we're going to go through here. And this is appendicular skeleton. And the areas that are closest to the skeleton, if you remember, are considered proximal. And the farther away are distal. So if we look at this right here, this is the humerus. You can tell one end is very smooth. The other end has this little dip that's in here, right? This is essentially what's known as the proximal head, and this is the distal part. So let's start with the cumulatively called the humerus and the different parts of the humerus. This right here is a circle, and it kind of looks like the circle of a head that might be coming off of it. This is what's known as the head. Now, this guy doesn't have much of a neck, if you know what I mean. So the area that's right underneath it, and you can see it a little bit better here, this area that's right underneath it, that goes around, even here, that is what's known as the neck. Now, there are two areas here, and if you want to look, you can see this on 8.14 or 8.16, that you have basically right here is the head, and you'll notice that you have this kind of rough area that comes off of the bone here, and then one that comes higher here, right? You have the neck that's right here, and then you have this big part that's rough here, and then this other one that's a little bit below it. Do you see how it's kind of, this is the higher and this is below? This is a greater distance up. This is a lesser distance, right? This is what's called the greater tubercle, and this is what's known as a lesser tubercle. Okay? And the then we can go to the other side here, and if you look, you'll notice that there is this part that's kind of deep here, right? You can look, this one has a little one, not very big, but this is really deep here, right? And so this is the distal end, and this is what's known as an olecranon fossa again. Now, what's cool about the olecranon fossa is that what fits into that is this bone that's right here, and this is what ends up making, there you go, our articulation for our elbow, And you can see, because remember when we talked about the anatomical positioning, that our hand is forward. So that olecranon fossa area is actually in the back. So that is what makes up this. Now, what's connected to that is what's known as an ulna. And I tell you, you can remember it because it's got the big U on it for ulna. This is the part that ends up hurting, or you can feel on your elbow, this bone that's coming out here. So what's great about this is that this part right here fits into the actual olecranon fossa, right? So if you look at this, you can see this on the same pages, right? So this part that comes here, that notch, this is what's called the olecranon, right? Or olecranon process. And then at the end of this, so this is the proximal side, right? And the distal side, you'll notice, do you see how it looks like this little thing is poking out? You can almost draw with it. So again, this is the styloid process of the ulna. And if you look at this, guys, let me just show you this a little bit so you can see it. Again, this is here, right? So you can see this is coming here. That little notch, that process is fitting into the olecranon fossa here. That goes down. And the reason why I wanted you to see this is you can see that this right there, that little notch that goes down here is right there, right? And so you can tell this is, when you're doing this with your hand, right, that this is the part that you can feel right there on your hand. It's the opposite from your thumb, and that is the styloid process of the olecranon, or the styloid process of the ulna, right? Now, so we have the humerus and we have the ulna out of the way. The next one we're going to look at is what's known as the radius. And how I remember this, guys, is the radius is half the length of a circle. And if you look at the radius, it has a circle on it, right? So that's how I remember this. Now, this part, the circular part, is up here. You can see that's a part. That's what allows this to rotate. Your hand to be able to rotate back and forth. So when I'm doing this here, that essentially, that is that radius that's on the outside there rotating back and forth for me. And so it looks like I could just put two eyes and the smiley face and you would have a happy face. And a happy face is a representation of your head. So this is what's known as the head. Now, this guy right here is rough, so it's called the radial tuberosity. Remember, tuberosities are always rough, and that helps to keep these two guys kind of together. It is going to rotate around here and keep those. There's going to be a basically connective tissue that goes around here in terms of a ligament that keeps it into place. And then, again, the last thing that we want to do, it looks like I could take this and write with it again. Thus, this is the styloid process of the radius. And this is on the distal end. So remember how we were talking? If you feel your wrist and you feel right here, that is your other stylus. So styloid process of the ulna, styloid process of the radius. And that helps to make the outer part of your wrist. Let's go and talk about the hand. I make this really easy, guys. These that are right here, that essentially make the connection between these two bones in here, those are the carpal bones. This that ends up making this part of your hand right here are the metacarpal, and your fingers, the phalanges. You do not need to get into the details of every single name of these bones. Now, if we look at it in terms of your foot, then you have analogs. So yes, I went down to the bottom, but that's because this is easy to kind of go and compare. So we had the carpal in the hands, that area that makes your ankle with here, this is basically the tarsals, and it's divided into two parts. Your heel, that is here, is your calcaneus, and the part that's smaller that makes up the ankle part is the talus. So the whole thing is the tarsals. That's an analog to the carpal bones. Calcaneus, talus. This right here is your metatarsals, analog to the metacarpals, and your toes are the phalanges. So we got that done. Let's now go to our legs, and we're almost done. So this biggest bone, right? You're like, if you remember, watch the Flintstones, it's like bam, bam. So what's so cool about this is it's very close and similar to the humerus. This part, proximal, this part distal. And if you look, you'll see here, right? So this is the part that has the round circular. And then you'll notice down here that this is the front part. So, and on these, you should be able to tell on the femur and the humerus which one is right and left based on what you see. For instance, and I've talked about with the humerus, right, that this part is the deeper part, so that should be on the back. And so when that goes kind of like, if you're looking at this and this is behind you, then you know for a fact that this one right here is the left because the head is over here, right? So the left one, the head will be on the right side. The right one, the head will be on the left side. This guy, how do you tell? Well, you see this, where you see this huge indentation here, you can put a finger. You can't really do that in the front. I mean, there's a small indentation, but you can't fit it all the way in and not see your finger. But on the other side, you completely lose your finger, right? That part is supposed to be the back. So if I go and I know, okay, this is the back, this is behind me, and I put this next to me, well, this one is going this way, right? So then I know, since it's going towards the left side, right, that it's my right. So for your femur and for your humerus, you should be able to tell me if it's left or right. Anyway, so let's talk about what this is. This, that is the head. He actually has one of these. What is it? Your neck. You can see this guy is nice big rough spot, smaller down here, or as smaller and less, right? So this is the greater trochanter, similar to the greater tubercle, and this is the lesser trochanter, right? And then if we look at this here, right, this is going towards the middle of the body, so this is the medial side. This is on the outside or lateral side of the body, so this is the lateral side. So these are condyles, and this is the medial condyle, and this is the lateral condyle. Now realize when I'm doing this that it seems opposite. So when you look at something, make sure, like if I'm looking at this, right, I'm like, okay, this is the head. I know the head goes towards the body. So that's how I tell where the medial side is. And I know that the other side is going to be away from the body, so that's the lateral side. Now, the great thing about these is that the same terminology is going to be talked about with the next bone. Now, before we get there, I just want to point out there's this little notch on the head, and this is what's known as a foveus capitis, and that is there on purpose. Now, you can find all of this in 8.25. Now, if I go and I talk about, and I show you this knee again, right? You'll notice that towards the inside or the medial side is where you're going to see this bone, which is a tibia. The smaller one that's towards the outside is the fibula. Now, if you notice here that, if you can see this very well, go back here a little bit and pull this. This right here is the medial, right? This is the lateral. So if you can see this, just to let you know, this is the patella. This is the knee bone. We've talked about that being the sesamoid bone shape, right? And so on here, this guy that rubs here, this is the medial condyle. This is the lateral condyle. This area on the tibia that comes in contact with this is the medial condyle, and this is the lateral condyle. And as you figure out that the part that comes down on the bottom that makes your ankle is on the medial side, so you can definitely look at this guy, and that's going to be an ankle on the inside. So you can easily tell with the tibia if you have a right or left. How? Well, when you're looking at this, you can go and you can see, okay, this right here, this bigger part that goes down farther is essentially going to be on your medial side. And so if you look at it, you can see that this has kind of this really sharp area that comes off here, and it's kind of thinner here, and that this guy right here is a little bit wider than this. So this right here is always going to be on the medial side. So this is the medial condyle down here. So that allows you to go up and know that this is the medial. This is the medial malleolus, sorry guys, is what this is called. And this becomes part of the internal ankle. And then this is a medial malleolus, and the other side is the lateral. Now, next to it, really long, skinny, is the fibula. And so basically when you're looking at this, the side that comes up at the top, the ankle, is going to be thicker than the one at the bottom that, becomes the knee is thicker, and the one with the ankle is thinner. So you basically look at this guy and I'm like, okay, this is kind of rounded and this one is thinner. Do you see how that looks a little bit thinner? And then this looks more squared. This is going to be essentially the proximal side, and this is the distal side. And this is going to be what makes the lateral malleolus. So the medial malleolus was on the tibia. That is making the internal part of the ankle that you feel. And then the lateral malleolus is the external part of the ankle that you feel. And this whole thing is called the fibula. We're done, guys. We're finished. That's it for today. These are all the bones that you will want to memorize and go through so that you understand them for the lab practical. If you have any questions, please let me know, and best of luck. The hot spots are open generally till 5 o'clock during the summertime, and a little bit later you'll have to look at the schedules during spring and fall just to make sure, because they change times based on when they have tutors available. So sometimes they're open past 5 if they have tutors available past then. So they do have a full skeleton there for you to use if that's something that you would like to do. If not, there are some great programs online for you to help in through within your book. So best of luck, and if you need anything, let me know, guys. Bye. Go Lions. Go Cougs. See you later.